Hello, HighFive5s. Welcome to Session 4. We're going to start by revising your vocabulary, which is new, for Unit 6. If you want to see where you can find all the words, you will see all the words on page 60 in the green box in exercise 3. So you can look there if you'd like to. Today, what I'm going to do to help you practice your words is I'm going to give you some clues. All right, and see if you can guess which word I'm talking about. So this is something that you read. It's an easy one, all right? It's not a book though. What do you think it is? Magazines. This is something that you also read, but the words sometimes rhyme. For example, roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you. What am I talking about? Poems. These days that you're home, maybe you're watching shows on television where people are very funny and they tell jokes. What do you call that when someone is funny and tells jokes on television? A comedy show. And this is a type of dance where the dancer has to stand on his or her toes. What do you call that dance? Ballet. And speaking of dance, if you're watching people perform on television and they're dancing, what do you call that? A dance show. Sometimes you go to a museum and you see a collection of paintings or photographs by a particular artist. What do you call that? An art exhibition. And you can have paintings, you can have photographs, but you can also have figures that people have made out of, for example, stone or wood. What do you call that? Sculptures. What do you call a group of people who play classical music together? A classical music concert. And if they play pop music, what is it? Pop concert. What do you call a type of show where there are clowns and acrobats, sometimes animals? A circus. And sometimes in school you have to wear a costume and you have to memorize your lines. What do you call that? A play. And there are special films where you have to wear glasses to watch them. What do you call those films? 3D films. That's right. Very good. Okay, I'm going to ask you to look on page 62 in your books at the blue box that's in exercise 3. This is the grammar for the unit, and it's a little difficult, so we'll be talking more about it when we see each other in class. In English, it's called the present perfect. So it uses the verb have and what's called the past participle, or the third column of your irregular verbs list. Only the verb have here doesn't mean tener. It's not the same as have a dog, have a cat. And it's not the same as tomar, for example, to have a sandwich, to have a glass of juice, right? Tomar un vaso de zumo. This have is like the verb haber in Spanish. So when I say, I have eaten, yo he comido. Or you have watched television, tú has mirado la televisión. or we have studied, nosotros hemos estudiado. He has left, él se ha marchado. And notice that we change the word from have to has when we talk about he, she, or it. Okay? We're going to talk more about this in class because it isn't easy, it's difficult, but I think we need to be together to talk about it. So for today, we're going to look at a story that you have on page 63. We're going to read the story and then we're going to answer some questions about the story. So I'm going to play the story for you using the CD, and I'm going to ask you to listen and read the story. But remember, you can always read the story again. And maybe the second time you can read along with the CD. Okay? Are you ready? Let's get started.
Unit 6, Lesson 3, Pupils Book, page 63, Activity 2. Listen and read.
A Choir for Africa. This story begins in Uganda, a country in the center of Africa. It was 1984, and there was a war in Uganda. The people were very poor. One day, Ray Barnett was listening to the radio at home in Canada.
Thousands of children in Uganda haven't got enough food. Many of them are dying.
Ray went to Uganda to help. One day, he drove a boy to his aunt's house. The boy sang for the whole journey.
That's beautiful.
After hearing the boy sing, Ray decided to create a children's choir.
Wow. I want people in other countries to hear them.
The choir sang at concerts in Canada. People loved their music. I've seen the choir 4 times. I'm their biggest fan. Ray helped the people in Uganda to use the money for new homes and new schools.
Thanks for helping us.
There are now about 40 African children's choirs. They've won awards and they've sung in front of the Queen of England.
Okay, leave your books open because we're going to use your books to help you answer the questions. But you also need to take out your activity books. And in your activity books, you're looking at page 60. It looks like this, all right? So we're going to do exercise 1 first. And in exercise 1, we're going to answer questions about the story. And remember the trick I told you in class. You need to do what I call reciclar la pregunta. Use the question to help you make the answer. So let's look at question number 1. Where was Ray living at the beginning of the story? All right, I love that. It's past continuous, which you know. So you're going to start, he was living. What was happening to many children in Uganda? Again, past continuous. They were, use your story. Number 3, what did the boy do in the car? That question's in past simple, so your answer is going to be in past simple. Use your story to find the word you need. Number 4, which country did Roy take the choir to? That question is past simple, and we can definitely recycle that question. He took the choir to... In number 5, what did Ray use for money? Excuse me, what did Ray use the money for? Sorry, different question. Again, recycle the question. He used the money for... And in number 6, what did the choir... I can't read today. Who did the choir sing for? Again, recycle the question. The choir sang for... So I'm going to ask you to pause the video, take a minute, answer the questions, and when you've finished answering the questions, come back and I'm going to share my answers with you, okay? All right, see you in a minute. All right, these are the answers to my questions that I wrote down, all right? I'm going to put them up here so that you can see them, all right? So number 1, where was Ray living at the beginning of the story? He was in Canada. He was living in Canada. Sorry, wow. I need to improve that. He was living in Canada. All right, sorry about that. So, he was living in Canada. I'm going to use the past continuous. All right? Number 2, what was happening to many children in Uganda? Past continuous. They were dying. Number 3, what did the boy do in the car? He sang. Number 4, which country did Roy take the choir to? He took the choir to Canada. Number 5, what did Roy use the money for? He used the money for new homes and new schools. I took that right out of the story. That's where I got that. Number 6, who did the choir sing for? The choir sang for the Queen of England. Okay, so those are the answers that I got to the questions. Now we're going to try exercise 2. Exercise 2 is a listening exercise. In exercise 2, right here, you're going to listen and complete Tom's story review. Write one word each time and circle the correct number of stars. Okay, so I'm going to play that CD for you. And remember, you only need one word. Before I play the CD for you, though, we're going to read through the text because that gives us an idea of what we're listening for. Okay, so I'm going to read while I get the CD out here. It says, this story is a man called Ray Barnett. In 1984, he heard about poor dying in Uganda. He wanted to help, and he to Uganda. When he was there, he heard a boy sing, and he had an idea.
CD 3.
He decided to create a choir. The choir were very good, and they, in some concerts in Canada. People loved them. Back in Uganda, Ray used the for houses, and they've been to many different, and they've met the Queen of England. I think it's an inspiring and story. I give it stars. Okay, think about the kind of word you're listening for. Remember, only one word. Here we go.
Unit 6, Lesson 3, Activity Book, page 60. Activity 2. Listen and complete Tom's story review. Write one word each time. Circle the correct number of stars.
What are you reading, Tom? I'm reading a story called A Choir for Africa. It's about the African Children's Choir. What's the story about exactly? It's a great story about a man called Ray Barnett, who wanted to help poor children in Uganda. Oh, right. When was this? It was in 1984. He heard on the radio that many children were dying in Uganda. He flew there to try to help. And how did he help? One day, he heard a boy singing very beautifully, and he decided to create a choir. That sounds like fun. But how did that help them? Well, they were a very good choir. They travelled to Canada to sing. People paid money to see them. Ray used this money to build houses and schools in Uganda. Wow, that's great. And they've been to many different places. They've even been to England a few times too. Really? Yes. And they met the Queen of England. How exciting. You're right, Tom. That's a nice story. Let's see. I think it's an inspiring and happy story. I give it 4 stars.
Very good. Okay, these are the answers that I got for the exercise. All right, take a look, please. Okay, this is the end of session 4, and I look forward to seeing you in class again. All right, bye-bye.